HR function is also changing and evolving so much. It's applicable for every single HR employee in the team. Hello my dear HR professionals, welcome back to the channel. Today we are discussing 5 very common mistakes that young HR professionals do that impact their HR career negatively. They have to learn it the hard way. So we will discuss those 5 things today here so that all you young HR professionals learn on this channel itself and you do not have to learn the hard way. So on that note, let's get started. This video is powered by KR. Number 1 on the list is ignoring the compliance. And by compliance, I mean every compliance. It's not just the process and policies, it's also the employment compliance, labor laws, everything. It's applicable for every single HR employee in the team. It doesn't matter at what level you are. Even if you are junior, you are equally responsible for taking care of things. I'll give you one very simple example here so that you can relate, and there can be hundreds of examples or situations like this that you might face in your HR career. Say, for example, you were given responsibility of taking care of contract employees, to manage their contracts and to see with whom companies continuing over and over again and then renewing their contracts on time. Say, for example, there was one contract employee and the manager wanted to renew their contract because they were continuing to work on some project. Now, if you forgot the date of renewal or somehow you missed renewing the document and it's 1 week overdue, say for example, and you get reminded after a week, oh my god, you haven't done it, and you do it. Nothing stopped there, but even once if audit happens, they will make a big deal out of it that company was paying money to a person who is not related to the company in any way, was not a full-time employee, was not a contract employee, was not related or engaged with the company in any way. It sounds ridiculous that, everybody knows he was a contract employee and the contract was about to be renewed. The person just forgot to renew on the time. What's the big deal? It is a big deal. It is legally a very big deal. For the compliance, it's a big deal, and your audit team will also make a very big deal out of it. So guys, that line that you see in every job description for HRs, that attention to detail. So you might have not thought much about it so far, but that is what is attention to detail. Every single detail when you read any document, when somebody verbally tells you, you cannot afford to miss out on every single detail. So make sure you do not do the mistake of ignoring the compliance, no matter at what level it is. It can be related to PF, it can be related to contracts, it can be related to offer letters, it can be related to employee agreements or process policies, leave policies, anything. Be it anything, you cannot afford to ignore that because it can seriously become a very big thing and then you will regret. Number 2 on the list is not closing the conversation loop. Now, HR job is something which is a lot dependent on communication, where somebody walks up to you, give you some work, you did the work, but you never updated the person for whom you did that work. It can be any manager, it can be your manager, or it can be some employee who asked you to do something. So a very simple example here is, say for example, an employee walks up to you and give you some piece of information to update it somewhere, or can be anything related to insurance or maybe something else. And the person assumes that once you update, you will update back him, and he didn't follow up with you. So you did your work on the same day, but you didn't go back and update the person, or you didn't send an email to the person that, hey, I've done this today itself. Now what will happen is, if there's any dependency on that work, that employee can go and tell to his manager that, I told it to HR, but they never did it. It's been 7 days. And when then that manager follows up, you'll be like, I've already done that. But they will be like, then who the hell will update or close the loop, the communication loop? Because we have been waiting for 7 long days for this work to get done and there was no communication from your side. So this is a very simple example and you might think it's not a very big deal, but this is just to give you an idea. Situations like these are endless. No matter with whom you are talking or communicating, if it's for official purpose, if there is some information or task that has reached you, always close the communication loop with that person. Even if somebody gave you to do some work verbally, make sure whenever you are back at your desk or you are on your laptop, write an email to that person stating, as discussed, I am starting to work on this and this thing, or this will be done by this time, whatever you want to write it, but close the loop, because that will keep you and your job safe in the company. And next point on the list is failure to adapt new technology. This is something that's very common, and because most of the HRs do not come from a technology background, they have this weird resistance towards technology. They feel it's something really difficult because they have not done it in their career so far. So obviously anybody would feel that it's difficult. But guys, a request to all my young HR professionals out there that HR is no more a function which do not require any technology intervention. Technology is everywhere, and with AI coming in and taking over, HR function is also changing and evolving so much. And if you keep ignoring and keep sidelining upgrading yourself with a new technology, you will find yourself outdated very soon. You will not grow in your career no matter what. If you are getting a chance to work on some technology or a chance to make yourself aware about the technology, do not feel that it's not your field or it's not your cup of tea or it will not help you in any way. No, grab that opportunity and make sure that you upgrade your skills as per that, because that's how market is trending. And if you keep working in traditional ways, you'll only get traditional success in your career, which might not be something that you really want. Next on the list is the mistake of being too rigid, or I should say not being politically correct. See, HR job is quite political in nature. You cannot afford to go politically wrong. You have to make sure that if it is a situation of conflict, you have to always make sure that both the parties are happy and content, and you should not give a vibe of any biasness or you being rigid to not solve employee problem. Always be flexible to figure out the solutions first, to try out the solutions first, and make sure that you give some inputs to the employee. And if you are not aware, redirect that employee to somebody who can give him or her the solution of the problem. And also sometimes the ways of working for HR also keeps changing. Say for example, a manager walks up to you and tells you that he has interest in hiring from campus, but your company has never hired from campus ever before, or maybe not from the colleges that that particular manager is suggesting. So in such a case, if you be too rigid and you say, no, that's not something we do, or that's not something that is possible or feasible, that will give a very negative picture of you as a HR. What you have to do is you have to first, what's the intention? Why he wants to hire from those particular colleges? What's the background? Take all the information, do the homework, and then if it is not feasible for whatever reason, take those calculations back to that manager that, hey, as per your request, we worked on this and for so and so reason it's not feasible. What are your next steps? What are your next suggestions? So being in HR is more like being in services. You are there to provide solution, suggestions, advice to employees, to managers, to make sure that they do their job well. And if you keep being too rigid at your work and at your approach, employees might not grow much in the company, because whatever suggestion they'll bring to you, you will deny all of them, and that will not benefit anybody, neither you nor the employees. And next on the list is, which is very important one, having a reactive approach rather than being proactive. And guys, I know if you have done your MBA, you must have heard this word being proactive like millions, zillions of times in your MBA textbooks or maybe from your MBA professors. I know it's out there, but how many of us really understand the meaning of being proactive at work? So let me give you a very simple example, not from work, it's the example from day-to-day life. Then you'll understand what this approach really means. And the example is of bad roads, or you can say bad drainage of road water during rainy days. At some point in your life, you must have complained about bad roads, and then you see when any case picks on social media, government or whoever is responsible for maintaining the roads, they come up and they try to fix bits and pieces here and there. So that's a reactive approach, that the damage has already been done and now they're trying to fix things, something here, something there, just to make up for it. And what will be the proactive approach here? That those people fix the road way before the rain starts, so that everything is prepared for the rainy season. And when the rains finally hit, the water flows through the drains really well and nobody gets stuck and roads are not broken and everything just goes seamlessly. That's a proactive approach. And that's exactly what you have to do as a HR all the time. See, the work of HR is such that most of the time, most of the work is that you have to avoid certain situations from happening. You cannot afford to solve them once they have happened. If there's a chance of conflict, you have to make sure that you avoid it already, not solve it once it's occurred. So you have to prepare in advance and you have to make sure that things are working fine. You do not have to wait for things to go wrong and then fix them. That's not the approach of a successful HR. The nature of the work of a HR is such that with reactive approach, you'll fall in trouble for sure, but you'll also put the entire HR team, your colleagues also in a mess because of your reactive approach, because HR work does not work like that. Maybe engineers can wait for the bugs to arrive to read through those bugs and then fix them when they run the code. HRs cannot do that. So that proactive approach is the key to becoming a successful HR professional. Hope you finally understood the point and the approach that I was trying to teach you. And if you make sure that you do not do all these mistakes, then your career progression will be so much easier, smoother, and you will just reach new heights every now and then. So guys, that was it. I really hope you derived some value out of today's video. And if you want to share some scenarios that happened with you, or you have any query related to these scenarios, make sure you put them in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. With that, I'm signing off. You keep on watching more content on the HR destination to be a successful HR professional. And I'll see you in my next video. Till then, stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye.